Good morning, everyone.
Yeah, hi, good morning. Uh, Hopefully others are joining soon, right? So only five of us are here. Let me just drop a uh, message there.
Let's wait for 5 minutes, then we start.
Yeah, I think that's better.
Yeah.
In the meantime, what we can do is people who were there yesterday. So I know some of you were added late. So I guess five of you were added late, but then uh, for the people who were there yesterday. So I asked you to sketch up some basic design, right, in Figma. So yesterday we saw like in 15 minutes we saw some what you guys created, some basic design, but then hopefully even after the session you had time to make some elaborate designs, right? So if I've made something, just feel free to drop it in the chat with the share option, like anyone can view, so that we can see and get inspired by all your designs. And then we'll start in a few minutes. Hey, hello everyone. Good
Hello,
morning.
everyone.
Yeah,
Morning.
hi. Yeah, so hi Prakash. What I was saying is basically, so hopefully people who were there yesterday, so you have tried to create like some improvements to the Figma design, right? So just drop the share link in the chat and let's take a look at a few of them before we resume for today. All right, yeah, I think we have
Sure,
our,
sure, sure. I'll just share it
yeah,
in a minute.
sure. All right, let's see this one. So thanks, Nitin, for contributing. So, oh, you have really made a lot of pages. Yeah, that's nice. Okay, so you're designing for the music streaming application and then a user selection page. All right, pretty well thought out pages. And also, yes, you're right. So the admin should not be allowed to register, only login, and then user can both login and register, right? So yeah. Yeah, nice. So yeah, as you can see, this is pretty well thought out design. So what happens is when you're doing this and when you're making a design in Figma, you will basically also learn a thing or two about designing itself. So what goes with which looks good, which doesn't look good, etc. And then you'll also learn how the basic stuff of Figma works, right? So yeah, nicely done. Thanks, Nathan. Yeah, let's see this one. Thanks, Prakash.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah,
Did match to bootcamp happen yesterday?
Uh, I won't be knowing that for sure because see, just like Mad 1, Mad 2 is also taken by multiple mentors. So it totally depends on who your mentor was. So I think one or two mentors will start from today, but then yeah, usually for
I'm asking because I haven't got the Gmeet link yet.
oh, is it? I think some configuration issue. Yeah, so I'll so if for the people who didn't get the Gmeet link, what you can do is just drop your mail in the G space, right? So in this my own project G space, and I'll forward it to the team. So I think
Okay.
they mentors did not get your details.
Sh- Sham,
Yeah.
sorry, Shan. So, do we need to pay, I mean, separately 1,000 rupees for Mad 2 project, right? If I'm not
Yeah,
wrong.
yeah. So what I'm aware of, Mad 1 is 1K, and then so both are separate. So Mad 2 is
Yeah, okay.
separate. Yeah.
Because for me, Mad 2 payment link was not enabled. So that's why,
Yeah. So I
yeah.
think some problem was there. So even if for people who chose both, only one payment link.
Yeah,
And
Yeah.
actually,
I
I
need to
want
check.
to uh, shift to the mat 2 if it is 1K for each. I want to give more priority to mat 2.
Yeah, I think you can drop a mail to support. So it's a like the mapping is done from their side. So there's not much we mentors can do. So we basically get the mapping of the students who are mapped to us, and then we conduct our session. So I'm for mentor for the MAD one. So similarly for MAD two, you would have been allocated. So you should have been allocated a mentor. But then
I will
if you are
I
not
may.
contacted, I think some mapping issue is there.
Just for information for Shayan and everyone. So I could see a payment link enabled now in my portal for
Okay,
Mat
so
2.
they've added it now, right?
Yeah, they added, but I could
Okay,
see a two link for the same payment. But still, I believe that I can go with one and pay that if I want.
got it, got it, got it.
To
All right,
whom I
yeah.
need to contact support teams here?
Yeah, yeah. You can drop a mail to support at study.
Okay, okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, so let's continue seeing this one. Yeah, so you have also made multiple pages, right? Yeah. So
But
we have a,
here I
yes.
don't know how to remove the section tag in the LMS in the last screen. Yeah.
Okay. You want to remove this one?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it was actually I didn't draw it. I just grouped and create a group and copy pasted that multiple
Okay,
times.
okay, okay. Yeah,
Got
I
it.
think, yeah, you made it
I
a
don't think. Yeah,
section. So
that's not a big deal. Just for information.
yeah, 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 got it, got it. So basically, if you want to remove this, I think you have to unsection it again and either make it a group or make it a frame. So
Okay.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, design is nicely done, and then so basically, similarly, you will be basically designing your pages, and then from the design, you will be coding up the
Yes.
front end. Yeah. So let's start with today's part. So yesterday we left off. So let me share my screen. Hopefully this is visible. I'll increase the font size. Yeah. So yesterday we were starting to work on this project called grocery. So what we had done is we created a basics like app.py file and a requirements.txt, and we also created a virtual environment. So hopefully, like people are able to create the VNs now. So I'll just activate the VN. All right, and for I think Windows, it will be something like it should be source and then VN scripts and then activate, something like this. All right. So in the VM, we have a templates folder where we store all our HTML files with Jinja templating. And we'll also have a static folder later if we require. So let's continue to use VS Code for this. All right. So we left off here yesterday where we created a basic form for the login. So now let's go back a little into Git and GitHub and see. So I won't be covering GitHub much, but then a little bit of Git and see how we can basically version control our code. So let's say for each day's work, I want to just store a snapshot that, okay, this is what I did at the end of day one. This is what I did at the end of day two, etc. So the way Git works is, so we had yesterday already done Git init. So our Git repository is initialized. That's why you can see some green dots and green U's here. So that is the Git extension of VS Code telling us that these files are updated. So what we can do is we can type Git status and press enter. So we can do it here or we can do it in this VS Code terminal also. And this will tell us that these are the files which are modified. So among these, can anyone tell me which files should we version control or track and which files we should maybe not track, or which are the important files
We,
and
we should not track v environment and underscore PyCache if I'm not wrong.
yes, yes, exactly. So this one is obviously just the virtual environment. So all the details needed to make this are just stored in this one, and this is a very big folder. So we don't need to version control this. And similarly, this is just some cache. So and it will be different from system to system. So we don't need to version control this. There's also another thing. So these two are things which we don't need, so we don't version control. There's also one file which we do need, but we still should not version control because it contains some sensitive information. Anyone?
Dot environment.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So .env usually, as you saw, so right now we don't have any secrets here, but then soon we will be adding them. And secrets is something you should not share. So if you, let's say, add that and then push it to GitHub, so anyone seeing your code can see maybe your API key or some other secrets. So what we usually do is, so this step you may not need to do now, but then simple step is we just copy the environment into another folder, into another file. So let's say env.sample or something like that. So right now this will be basically the same. So, but let's say the env also contained a few secrets, right? So secret key is some super secret stuff. So what we do is in the sample, we don't store the secret directly. We just let them know that these are the keys you need to have. So we can maybe put a placeholder here that your secret key here. So when someone is initializing the repository on their system, they'll see there's a .env.sample and they'll know, okay, they should uh, copy that or replace that as .env itself. And inside all the fields which are left as placeholders, they should put as their own files. So env, venv, and pycache, we don't track to Git. So one way you can do is basically you can come here and then basically add one by one the things you want. So let's say I want readme and not env. So I'll add git add readme. Then I can come here and do git add app.py, but that is a tedious process, right? So a better way to do this is create a file called gitignore. So and it starts with a dot. So it's a hidden file. It starts with a dot, and then we have git ignore. So there's no space there. So what we store in this file is just names of files or folders which I don't want Git to track. So for example, we'll store .env here, we'll store venv here, and we'll also store pycache here. All right, so that's pretty much all that we have to do in this file. So we don't have to do anything fancy. Just in each line, we just store the name of the files which we don't want to track. So now you can even see in the VS Code left bar side that these things went gray. So VS Code also understands that you don't want to track them. So even if you do a git status here now, you can see the env.sample is being tracked that, okay, it's, so we have not added it, but I know it is a new file. The now newly created git ignore file is being watched and the other files are there, but then these env, venv and pycache are not being seen anymore. So that is how we use the git ignore. Is the recording? Yeah, all right. So now we will just add all of these to our repository. So one way to do, as we saw, is by doing git add and then each name separately, but we can directly add everything in this folder using git add dot. So once we do this, now everything is added to our staging area. So this is basically, you can say, like when you're shopping something, you first take it to your cart and then you buy it. Similarly, git add is basically like you're putting it in your cart and telling, okay, I'm going to commit this. So the next step is doing git commit. So for simplicity, you can just put a dash m here and type the message here itself. Otherwise, you can press enter here and it will open the a new file where you have to type the message. So that may be too complicated. So let's just write the message here and I can just say add day one files. And once we press enter, so the commit is now done. And you can see now nothing is green anymore because everything is up to date with our commits. So it has added the commit message, which is add day one files. And it also tells us that 6 files were changed. And in that there were 55 insertions. So we don't have to worry about what this is. This is basically the number of lines. So combined in all these 6 files, a total of 55 lines were added. And this is just the permissions of those files. So these are the files which were created. All right. So for Git purposes, this much is enough. So you just add and commit, and you will have a basically log of all the things that you have created. So if you do git log, you will see all the commits you have done. So right now there's only one, so it's just showing this commit. But then if we create more and more logs, more and more commits, it will come up in our log. And you can press Q to exit from here. All right, just give me 1 second. All right, yeah. So that is how we use Git. So I won't get into how to push it into GitHub today. So I'll cover that tomorrow. So we're basically trying to cover Git also a little bit parallelly each day so that it's not too overburdening. But then, yeah, we need to cover that also. And I've added a few resources for Git and GitHub. So after today's session, right? So as you can see, for today's basically these are the things you do after class. So just go to the resources, and for today we have these resources. So these are just the documentation. So this is Flask documentation, this is Bootstrap documentation, this is Jinja documentation, and these are the two Git and GitHub videos that you can watch. So I assume and hope you have already watched the WSL and Git video for yesterday. So after that, so basically once you watch this, just watch these two after the class. All right. So yeah, let's continue from where we had left off yesterday. So we created a basic login page. So let us run the application to see how it looks. All right. And also, yeah, it would be nice if you can also code parallelly. So you may not be able to like code everything exactly the same way at the first time, but at least, yeah, try your hand out at all the new concepts we cover. So we'll also take a few breaks in the middle just so that you can catch up to those as well. All right. So right now, as you can see, we have created a simple uh, main.py or app.py, which has one route, which is to the index route, and it is just returning the index.html, which is basically, so right now we have removed this, so we don't need this anymore. And in the index, we basically just give a login form. So let us now see how we can configure the things which we added in our env. So as you can see, we have added a secret key. We have added these two variables which are usually required by the database. So these two are not required directly by our application. It is taken by.
Sir, can I ask one question? Hello?
I believe his connection is lost.
Okay.
We had to wait for some time. We just-
Yeah, I don't know why I'm having internet issues every day. Just give me 1 minute and I'll join again.
In the meantime, do anyone received a mentorship for MLT? I got an payment link for that, but I didn't get any mail regarding that. I don't know whether I missed that mail.
I think, yeah. So for the mentorship, you basically, it's up to you. So for every term, the subjects which you choose, they'll just add those subjects to your pending payments.
Okay,
You can simply choose to pay it or choose to not pay it. And depending
okay,
on if you pay it, you'll be enrolled.
okay. Okay. If that also will be for a week, or it will be for a span of whenever, I mean, every week, 1 hour, something like that. Any idea about the because?
Uh, yeah, so the mentorship, it's like for the entire term, so for the entire 3 or 4 months.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah, yeah. Sorry, everyone. I think I lost the internet connection, but I'm not sure where I lost it. So if anyone can let me know till which part you were able to hear. Let me share my screen. Yeah, till which part were you able to hear?
I think we are talking about Git and Linux stuffs, and then you said you'll talk about the secrets later.
All right, yeah. So we went over the git log and all, right? So git log is basically a place where you can see all the commits that you have made. So right now we just have one commit, so it'll just show just one commit, but then uh, when we add more, it'll basically show up here. And then to get out of the git log, we press Q. All right, so let me do one thing. Let me join this meeting from another device so that I can keep monitoring if I am there in the meet or not. All right, yeah. So yeah, let's resume. So what I was telling is that uh, ignore all this. So can we get the resource file for the session or the recorded session? Yeah, so we basically record every day session, and or like 1 or 2 hours after the session is over, I get the processed link from Google. So yeah, as soon as I get the link, I'll upload it in the drive and I'll send you in the GSpace.
Shan, sorry, one more question.
Hmm.
So this MAT to mentor program will not be overlapping with this program, right? It will be in the evening or something like that.
Yeah, so if you have chosen two, then you'll basically have one in the morning, one in the evening. So yeah,
Okay.
MAD one as you're already in the morning, so your MAD two will be in the evening.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. So as I was telling that we have this env file and we have these secrets that we have stored there, but then they're not loaded in our program itself, right? So the first two of the Flask get read directly by the Flask run application, but then these three we need to supply it to our application itself, which we are not doing. So we are storing it in the env, so it's safe and secure, but then we are not loading it also. So to do this, what we do is, if you remember yesterday, we installed the python.env. So this is a library which we use to load the secrets. So the heavy lifting work of reading the file and loading everything that we don't have to do, it's already done by the library. So all we do is we do from python.env, or I think it's just .env. We do import load.env. So this is name of the function which we need to call. And I will also import the OS module so that I can read the secrets from the environment after this. So then we just call the method load.env.
Sorry to interrupt. Can I
Yeah,
ask one question?
yeah, sure.
Actually, I've created this. I've imported Flask and Jinja template, and I've created app.py inside the virtual environment.
Yeah.
Would I run into problems, or should I continue with this only?
No, so yeah, we are working on inside the VN only. So yeah, you should make, okay, so you're telling you made it inside the VN folder.
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay, yeah, yeah, just move it outside because yeah, usually it should not be inside the VN folder.
It should
You
not
can
be inside the VNV folder.
No, no, no. So you don't do anything inside the VN folder, or you don't even touch the VN folder. It's automatically created for you by the basically command which you run, and it is also used automatically when you activate. So you would have, sorry, you would have activated it using the source vn bin activate, right? So that is all you have to do. One second. That is all you have to do to activate the virtual environment. And once you do that, your VN will be activated. So if you do now which Python, you will see that it is now coming from this VN. But then
Okay.
you don't have to do anything inside the folder.
Okay. So
Everything
should I
else.
just copy paste and move the files because there are so many links, and will they be automatically restored? I have to do it manually because
Yeah, so just move all the files. So whatever you have created inside the VM, we can just move outside. So I guess all the links are relative links, right? So
okay.
it should not be a problem.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. So as I was saying that now the things in the .env, so it will be automatically read by this function which we are calling load.env, and it will store it in the operating system's environment. So that is now almost halfway done. So it's still not added it to the apps config. So that we have to do it now manually. So what we do is we do app.config, and basically all the things which you want to store, like the secret key and the SQL Alchemy database URI, we load it one by one from the OS. So os.getEnv is the function which basically fetches things from the environment. So env is environment, get is getting things. So, and then we take each key from the environment of the OS and set it in the app.config. So basically we have three keys, so we'll do it 3 times. And let me get it also from the secrets. All right. So as you can see in the env, we had these three things: secret key, SQL Alchemy database URI, so the location where the SQL Alchemy should create the database, and the SQL Alchemy track modifications. So now we have loaded all these three into our app.config here itself. All right, so the server has now reloaded. So let me refresh this page, and as you can see, it's still working exactly the same. So the SQL Alchemy, we will use it when we are creating our models after this. So let's now quickly do some bookkeeping by segregating these things into another file. So as you can see, the app can quickly become very big. So we're doing the config also here. We are doing the routes also here. So you can imagine we'll have multiple routes also here. And then we'll also have the models. So instead of making one big file of app.py, we will break it into multiple files. So let me just quickly select this part of the configuration and remove it, and we will create a new file called config.py, and we will paste it here. So one thing you can notice now is that the config.py is complaining that, okay, what is app? I know what is .env and how to load this function, and also how to get the things from the OS, but then what is app? How do I set it to app? That's because this app variable is declared only in app.py, right? So it's declared here, and config has no way of knowing what this is. So the solution to this is also pretty simple. What we do is we simply say from this file, which is app.py, so we don't need to mention the py. So we say from app, we import this variable, which is called app. So it's a little bit confusing because both of these are app, but then this is name of the variable, and then this is name of the file. So now you can see the errors go away. So basically I've told config to load the app variable from the app and then set all the config. So the config.py is only doing the config, and the app.py is not dealing with the config. But then we also need to run this file to do the config for us, right? So the code for that is moved into this file, but we also need to run that. So what we do is we simply here say import config. And what this will do is, as we saw yesterday, if you import some file, it will also run the basically the file from top to bottom. So that is how we basically segregate things into separate files and folders. So let me now move the routes also similarly, so that we get a hang of how to do the segregation. So I'll delete this, and I'll create a new file called routes.py, and I'll store it here. So here also you can see it's basically the same thing. So it doesn't know what's render template, so that we can quickly import from Flask import render template. But then it's also asking what is app. So obviously we can do the same thing from app import app. And now here, instead of writing so many routes, what we do is we simply say import routes. And if we save it and the server is reloaded, and if you do a refresh, you can see it's still working. So the way it's working is exactly the same. We have just made it easier for us to edit the files and read the files, because it's easier for us to understand what each file is doing. All right, so now that we have done with config.py, let's start making a few basic models.
Sean, can you open config.py once, one minute?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So do we have this app.config? So config is a variable or some mod data
Yes.
value available in app, right?
Yeah,
So
config is
do we need to
basically
declare, or it is readily available
no,
provided
it's
with the framework?
available. Yeah, so because we're using Flask, right? So many things, Flask
Okay.
makes it easy for us. So as soon as we declare this app, right? So app equals Flask name. So the Flask object which is created, it inside it already has
Okay.
dictionary named
Okay, I
Flask.
got it. Yeah, I got
Yeah.
it. Yeah. Thank you.
So we can just set it in the dictionary, and then later the Flask itself will use it from here.
Okay, yeah, thank you.
Yeah. So yeah, just take 5 minutes and try to come up to the same configuration as we are right now. So I'll just open the files parallelly if you want.
Yeah, I was about to ask that. Thank you.
Yeah, no worries. Uh, like this. And I'll make it a little bit smaller so that it's visible. All right, hope this is
That's
visible.
enough. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's take a quick break till 10:40, and hopefully by then we can all come up to the same configuration. All right. Let me mute myself.
ഹലോ உங்களோட குட் மார்னிங் உங்களோட மெயில் ஐடி மட்டும் எனக்கு வாட்ஸ்அப்பில் அனுப்புறீங்களா ஆமாம் உங்களோடது சரி ஓகே
Cheyenne, can you open your screen and share it? Because I cannot see that now. Cheyenne, are you there? Or is it Nera? Hello, Nera. Can you hear me? Hi, Cheyenne. Can you open your screen and share it? I cannot see the sharing right now.
Yeah. Yes, Sridhar. We got a error that no module named .env. Yeah. So I guess
Actually,
you.
we didn't install it or
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
so.
So what you need to do is one second. Let me share my entire screen. Yeah, one second.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what we did is, I think yesterday we installed a few dependencies, right? So if you can see in our requirements, we had this python -.env. So what you need to do is first make sure that you're in the VN. So make sure when you do which Python, it says that current folder is VN. If not, you can do source VN bin activate, and then you will be in that. So now when you're inside the VN, just do pip install python-.env. So what this will do is it will install this library. So this is the library which we are using here to load the env.
Shane, I just have one query.
Yeah.
So if I run it, my index page is not getting served since after this changing this files to routes.py.
Have you made this import routes
Yes,
thing?
yes, I did that. Yeah, the same
Uh,
exact. I just double confirmed by checking, going through all the configs and files.
make sure you've saved all the 3 files.
Yeah, I just saved even.
Yeah, because if it's not saved, there'll be basically a white dot here, so like this. So make sure there's no
No, I
white
don't. I
dot.
don't. I don't have that.
Uh, all
Can
right.
Can you run it from your system and see if
Yeah, so I guess we already ran it, right? One second, I'll rerun. So this is the current state. So we have app.py where we have config and routes, and so we run it, and yeah, so as you can see, even if I close this and open it again, it should be served like this. So maybe you can share your screen. Maybe we can see if something is different.
is it fine if I log into the same? I mean, the same Gmedia from a different
Yeah,
machine
yeah,
because
sure, sure.
I'm using two different laptops. One is
Yeah, that's
my,
fine.
yeah.
That's fine.
I'll just join in a
Yeah,
minute.
sure, sure.
Uh, Good morning. I just got the link and I joined the group only today.
Yeah.
So so what do I do because I couldn't attend the class yesterday?
Yeah, so no worries because we do have recording of yesterday's also. So I'll in the VSpace I'll send you the link of the resources. So there at the bottom you can see the link of the recordings. So I guess now it won't be possible, but then yeah, after today's session, just try to go over. So I know it will be a little bit hectic to go over yesterday's session and then today's session also, but then yeah, try to attend today's session, and uh, then after today's session, try to just watch the yesterday's session. Were
Okay.
you a part of any other session yesterday? So did you join any link yesterday?
No, I didn't join anything.
Okay, so you were not like remap, you were basically just added today.
Yeah, I made the payment late, so I got added late.
Got it, got it, got it. Yeah. Yeah, so yeah, the recording is there. You just have to spend a little bit more time basically. So today you'll have to go over both the days.
Okay.
Shan,
Okay.
I'm just taking the share.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'll stop sharing. Yeah, go ahead.
Can you see my screen now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So let me see. Yeah, from Flask import config, and then can you show me your config and routes? Yeah, config looks right, and then routes. Yeah, it also looks fine. And then you have the template, right? In the templates folder, you have index.html.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, this should be working. Just run the server once and show
This is
what you have.
Python app.py, right?
Oh, okay. I think that may be the reason. So you have set up the env, right? .env.
Yes.
Yeah, just try running Flask run, Flask space run. Yes, try opening this.
I got it. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, all right. Yeah,
Thanks a lot.
yeah, sure. All right. So shall we continue? Hopefully, all of you have come up to this stage. So let me share my screen. All right. Yeah, Vantika, I think Shubha has shared the link also, right? So you can go over this. The link is also there, so you can refer to that sheet also, or you can save it now also from here. All right, so let me close the multiple panes. Okay, so now that we have a basic Flask app up and running, let's now dive a little into a different thing, which is the database and the models. So I think yesterday let me open that 1 second. So yesterday we talked about how the database should be structured. Let me find it 1 second. Yeah, so yeah, we made 5 tables. So the user table, and uh, as you rightly pointed out, so we also need to have a is admin here, right? So this will basically be a flag if the user is admin or not. Yeah, Ram.
Yeah, I had a question. So, how are we going to check out from the cart in this case, since there'll have to be a payment made?
Yeah, so for this project, we are not going to incorporate any payment. So we'll just have a button. So as we saw yesterday, right? So in the card, there will be all the details, and then there will be a buy button. And some background checking we'll do in the backend. So we'll see if the quantity which they are trying to buy is present. So let's say they are trying to buy 10 and there's only 8. So in that case, we won't work. But then we'll do some basic checking, and then we'll just mark that as bought. So because payment and all that is not part of this project, so we will not handle that.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. All right. So yeah. So in the user, as you rightly pointed out, we have to use the is admin. So this is because we have 2 types of users. We can do it also in a separate way. So we can have roles database also, which will have a role ID, and then there will be the name of the role. So this will have basically 2 or 3 or 4 entries. So user, admin, manager, like that. And here we can have, instead of is admin, we can have the RID, which is a foreign key, so which tells what is the role of this user. But for this, we will not do this. We will simply create a is admin field, because we only have 2 types of users, normal user and admin. And here it will either be true or false. So this will also be not null. All right. So this is the schema of the database which we came up with. But now let's try to make it into code. So usually when we are working with SQL, we will be working with SQL queries, but then that is usually not the preferred way to do when developing an application. So we will usually want to use some kind of a wrapper. So let me create let me create a new document for today. All right. Yeah, so what we will do is for SQL, there's usually the database, and let's say for people like data analysts and all, they'll be working directly on the database using some SQL engine and using SQL queries. So they will give queries like select star and all this, so which you have learned in the DBMS course. But usually for developers, they never work directly with the database, maybe while troubleshooting, but usually not other than that. So what we do is we work with the backend, right? So we have the backend which handles the database. So how the backend talks to the database is usually, so we can obviously use the SQL queries here also, but that is usually not how it is preferred. So what we do is, instead of doing this, so this is not done. So instead of doing this, we use a ORM mapper. So ORM is basically an object relational mapper. So we'll use a ORM here, and that will do the talking for us. So it's basically, you can think like another layer of abstraction. So we write simple code, and then that simple code is converted into SQL queries by the ORM, and that is basically sent to and back from the database. So everything is handled by the ORM. We just write some logic to it. So the ORM which we will be using for this Flask project is called Flask SQL Alchemy. So that's why we installed it yesterday. And Flask SQL Alchemy basically internally uses SQL Alchemy. So this is also auto installed by this. So as we've already done it for two things, so let me not create it here again. Let me directly go to the models. So I'll create a file here called models.py. And here I'll just import the models. All right. So in the models, there are a few things which we have to do. So first of all, we will import the app from the app, like the other extensions which we have done. So from app, import app. And we also need to import this SQL Alchemy, which is the ORM. So we'll do from Flask SQL Alchemy. We will import SQL Alchemy. So this SQL Alchemy is basically, it's going to be our database ORM. So first we create an object of the SQL Alchemy class, and we name it DB. So this is usually a general practice. You can name it anything. So we are going to be naming it DB. And we pass into this SQL Alchemy class the Flask application which we have created. So as you can see, we imported it from the app.py, right? So if we don't do it, then it will say what is app. So we import it and then we pass it to the SQL Alchemy. So what this also ensures is that we created the app, right? So make sure the ordering is correct. So first we create the app, then we import the config. So what the config does is basically set up all these, right? So SQL Alchemy, all the configurations. So now that the config is set and the app has these config, so now if we go into the models and the DB is initialized with the app, so the DB instance automatically inherits all the config also. So we don't have to set it 2 times or 2 places. We can set it to
So
app.
will it create an error if we import it in the first line, like if we don't do it below?
Which one?
In the app import models here, you have done on the line number 7. If we do it on the line number 1, it will be a problem.
Yeah, it will be a problem because first we need to create the app, right? Only after we have created app can we use the config, which is using the app, as you can see from app import app. So config has to be after that. And then similarly in the config, we are setting these configurations, right? So only after the configurations are set can we use the app inside the DB. So the ordering is
I was
important.
facing this issue and I had very trouble because there was an error. So I imported it on the line 1.
Yeah, that is one thing that may cause error. So we'll also see that. So let me write 1 or 2 models and then we'll see what error comes if we move it. All right. So in the models, now let me create one model.
Excuse me, Shayan.
Yeah, go ahead.
I actually joined it. Can you just go through whatever you did in 5 minutes, like very quickly, what you did?
Yeah, sure. So
Thank
like
you.
where did you leave off today, or did you join?
I
now?
joined just now.
Okay. So what we did today is we created a few files. So you joined yesterday, right?
No, this is my first time.
Okay. So we will have the recording of yesterday available, so you can go over that after today's session.
Okay, so actually I was in the evening session, but then I was not able to do there, so I have joined here. So can I be added in the G space?
All right. So you were mapped to this session, right?
No, I got it from somebody I know who was in the session, but I was in the evening session.
Oh, okay. So yeah, I personally cannot make the changes, right? So you'll have to request to the team, and they provide the mapping to us. So we
Okay,
get the
I'll-
mapping of the mentors and mentees. Yeah. So
Okay,
you're
I'll
welcome
request.
to watch along, like follow along, but then yeah, for the formalities you'll have to
Okay,
reach
okay,
out to
sure,
them.
sure,
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Okay, and
Yeah, you were saying?
no, I mean, you just explain what you did quickly, and then I can so that I can follow along.
Yeah, yeah, sure. So we were basically creating a basic Flask application. So we created the app.py and the config.py and the models.py. So we have not populated it much, but then we are basically just linking them so that we can now create the application. So we also have a simple route which renders the index.html, which we have created in the templates folder. And this instance folder, as you can see, this is created not by us, but then automatically. So this is created as soon as we initialize the DB variable. So that's all we have done right now. So as you can see, these are the files which we changed today. And the earlier ones you can refer to yesterday's recording.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, let's continue. So yeah, we created the DB instance. So now let's create at least one model. So let me open yesterday's notes also. Parallelly. Yeah. So let's make the user model first. So as we see, the user has all these attributes. So the way we create the models in SQL Alchemy is using the classes. So we create a class for each model. As you can see, we create a class named user, and that class has to inherit from the db.model. So this db is basically the variable we just created, and it will internally have all these variables. So you don't have to worry where it's coming from. So the SQL Alchemy object will have a dot model. So this is how we create models in SQL Alchemy. So the user will have multiple attributes. So let's create them one by one. So the first one is ID. So we simply just type ID here and we set it equals to a column. So this again is basically something related to the database. So we can't just, let's say, make it ID equals 123. We have to speak in a language so that SQL Alchemy can understand us. So here also we have to use the DB, and then we have to say db.column. So this is how we declare each column. So like this will create all the columns. So inside this column constructor, now we have to mention what type of column it is. So ID, as you can see, is a primary key because it will uniquely identify the user. So we just mention the data type of it first, so db.integer, and then we mention any other constraints. So primary key is true. So IDs obviously will be an integer, and if we set primary key to true, it is also going to be auto increment, so we don't have to worry about that. So next we create the username. So we'll just type username, and we will make it a string, obviously, because the username can be any alphanumeric character. And let's keep it not too big, but then as 32. And as we also saw, it has to be unique, so we'll set it to unique. Next, we'll create the password hash. So I'll explain what hash is and how we create the hash later. But for creating the schema, let's just create the attribute right now. So yeah, let's make it 128 or maybe a little bigger, 256. So we don't know what is the hash's size. So let's be safe, I'm keeping it 256. And this has to be not nullable. So let's see how it is done. So you can do, I think you can do nullable equals false, or this may also be the default. So you have to check the documentation of SQL Alchemy. So just to be safe, I am explicitly mentioning that nullable is false. And for things which are nullable, we will mention nullable is true. So next we have name, right? So the name, as we mentioned, is nullable. So it can be null. So we will say name is db.column. And it will also be a string, but then this will be, let's say, a medium size, so 50 or 64. And here we will let it be nullable. So nullable is true. And then finally, we have the isAdmin, which is basically like an Boolean. So we set it as Boolean, and this is also not nullable. So we need to know if the user is admin or not. So this also has to be there. And this is basically a way for us to set the default value. So let's say when we are creating users, we don't have to specifically mention that that user is not an admin. So by default, it will be taken as false. Only if I mention that that user is an admin, then it will be taken as true. So that's all the fields we have right now in the user. So let's save this and see if there's some error while compiling. So as you can see, the server auto ran and then there are no errors. So our basic user model is done and there are no errors in that. So we can reload the page and we can still see the login page. All right. So let us quickly create the other models also. So I'll ask you guys to tell me what I should write. So next we'll do the category. So just let me know what I should write. So we'll make the category model, so which has two attributes, ID and name. So how do we declare the model?
Class category and in bracket DB model.
Yeah, exactly. Class category DB dot model. And then here we will have the all the attributes, right? So for the category, we just have ID and name. So let's create the ID and the name. And I won't have description right now, but then yeah, we can have it. So that's all. And let us create the product also. So there is something which I am skipping right now, but then I'll come back to later. So right now we're just creating the attributes which we have written. So now let's create the product model. So that will also be a db.model, and the ID should be there, the name should be there, the price should be there. We won't have any description. We'll have a category ID, yes, and we'll have, so this I'll come back to later. And we'll also, we may have unit. So for the sake of this project, let's not make it too complicated. So let's just keep ID, name, category ID, price, quantity. So let's add the quantity and also the manufacturing date. All right. So these are the fields, like the actual fields of the database, which we need to have. And so can anyone tell me what is one thing which we are missing from this? So we have the entities, but then what do we have in between the entities?
Some relationship like a foreign key.
Yeah, exactly. So for the product and category, we have mentioned a category ID, which is the foreign key. But then for usual normal databases, this is enough. But as because we are using an ORM, right? So we can make our life a little bit easier. So what it will do is it will internally still do the same thing. So it will use the category ID as a foreign key in the database, and it will refer to the category using this. But one thing we can do is we can also explicitly create some relationships in the model itself. So what I can do here is I can type products. So you can think of it like an array of all the products which belongs to this category. And I can, instead of doing db.column, I can do db.relationship. And what this tells the SQL alchemy is that, okay, so a category is related to products. So related to product, this object. So that is mentioned here. And let's call this relationship as products. And so this will basically, whenever I get a category and I do that category dot products, it will automatically fetch all the products in it. So we don't have to do any SQL query like select all like that. So this will automatically know the relationship. Yeah, go ahead.
So basically, this will create a table and without with the ID and name alone, right?
So this in general will not create a table because it's a one-to-many relationship, right? So we already have that two tables, category and product. So it will just use that, but then it can see that in the product we have a category ID, right? So it will use this as, and we have set it to foreign key also. So category ID is db.foreign key to this category dot ID. So it knows how it is related, but then I am also telling it explicitly to call that relationship as products in the category. So now it will still use the same database schema which we uh, drew here, right? So it will make it like this only. But in the ORM itself, I don't have to basically do. So let's say I have a category ID or a category. So I don't have to extract the ID first, then go into the products table and then do select all the products such that the category ID is equals to this category ID. All that we don't have to do. We can simply take that category and tell, give me all of its products. And SQL Alchemy ORM internally will do all that for us. So we don't have to do anything.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so that is how we declare the relationships. So the products is a relationship, and this backref equals category is basically telling that, okay, from category I can, so it's a one-to-many, right? So one category can have many products, and each product has just one category. So from the category, I can refer to all of its products using the products name. But from each product, I can refer back to its category using the category name. So the category ID is some field which is used internally in the database to store just this ID. But if I get a product and I do that product dot category, so it will not only give me the ID, but the entire object. So we will see how it works in the upcoming videos when we are actually using the controllers. But yeah, so while defining the models, we can define the relationships like this. So this will basically let us access the entities related to each other directly in the ORM. And this lazy equals to is basically just an optimization thing. So it's telling the ORM that you don't have to go on and fetch all the category of all the products all the time. So when I am accessing something, only at that time go to the database and load it. So you don't have to preload it in the memory and something. All right. So now we have the user, the products, and the categories. So let's quickly create the two other things also, which are the art and the orders. So these are basically join tables. So this can be done using relationships, but then usually because it's many to many, we can also simply create another table here to make our lives easy. So what we'll do is we'll do class cart. So we'll start with the cart, and we'll also make it a model. And in the cart, as we saw, we just have the cart ID, the user ID, the product ID, and the quantity. So we'll have the ID, we'll have the user ID, which is a foreign key to the user.id, and we'll also have the product ID, which is the foreign key to the product table, product.id. And we also need to have a attribute in that relationship itself, which is the quantity of amount which has been carted. So we do quantity, and it is just a normal column. So now that the attributes are there, we also need to, obviously like this, write some explicit relationships to make our lives easy. So a cart is related to just one product. So we can either do it right here. So we can do product equals, or we can do it in the product also. So because it's a relationship, so it can be declared either side. So let me write it here. So we can do it here. Cart is DB relationship cart, and then so from the cart we can refer to the product using product, and from the product we can refer to its carts using carts. So it's basically two ways. So you can declare it here or you can declare it here. And finally, let us declare the orders. So it will be very similar to the carts, just a few more attributes. So we'll have the ID and the user ID, and we'll also have the product ID. And we'll also have the quantity. And here we'll also have the price of that order, because the price may change once we have done the transaction. So yeah, as we discussed yesterday, let us, instead of storing just the orders like this, let us, where did it go? Yes, let us create a transaction entity, and we can have the transaction ID also and refer to that transaction. So let us create another model first of transaction, and it will simply have the ID and the user ID and also the date time of that transaction. All right, and then we will have the, instead of the user ID here, we'll have the transaction ID. So this will be a foreign key, and then the product is a foreign key, quantity and price are normal variables. So now here we have to relate the products and the transaction also. So let me relate the products first. So as you can see, the product is related to the order. So I can just come here and write orders is a relationship with the order table with the backref product. So again, in the order, if I do, instead of product ID, if I just use the product, I can get the object of product. And now we have to relate the transaction and the orders. So as you can see in the orders, we have transaction ID. So here I can come and write orders again, and we have a relationship between the transaction and the orders with the backref of transaction. So instead of transaction ID, if I just do some order dot transaction, I'll get back its transaction. And if I have some transaction given to me, I can do that transaction dot orders, and the ORM will automatically give me back a list of all the orders in that transaction. So let me double check real quick if we have done all the attributes. Yeah, looks about right. So let's save this, and all right. So it's the server is still not giving us any errors. So most probably we have not made any mistake in declaring the ORMs. So the last step of this is creating the database, right? So as you can see in the instance folder right now, there is nothing there. So this will just declare the models, but not create the actual database file. So to create that also, it's pretty simple. What we do is we have already imported the app, right? So from app, import app. So we just say once the app is ready, like everything in the app is done. So we'll do with app.context. We will do this DB which we created. So DB is SQL Alchemy app. We'll do db.create all, and this create all function just sees all the models which I have created. It sees, okay, these are the models that I have, and it simply creates all of those tables in the database. So right now, as you can see, there are no files in the instance, and as soon as I save it, we get this db.sqlite file. So now let me just go over one extension which is useful to have in the project, which is SQLite Viewer.
Shan, one question here.
Yeah.
So can you repeat how we create the tables and last thing which you explained just now?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
this
sure.
will take the context and it will create all the DB.
Yeah. So we don't have to do anything. We just have to write this, which is basically, so once the app is initialized, right? So the Flask app does some internal processing. So once that all is done, so once we have the context, so with app.context, we just run this function called create all, which is present inside the DB itself. So what this will do is it will just see all the classes which we have declared till now, right? So the user, the category, and it will create all the tables for all this in the database. So the database link it knows because it's initialized with app, and app gets it from the config. So if you remember, let me open this.
Yeah.
And in the config, we have set the database URI, right? So from here, it goes into the app, and then from app, it goes into the DB. So the DB internally knows where I have to create and what I have to create. So the what is declared here. Yeah.
So in which location it will create the DB and the tables?
Yeah. So whatever we write here. So here we have mentioned, one second, let me open the env. So yeah, we have mentioned to just use the SQLite engine. So it tells us what database to use, so Postgre or MySQL or SQLite. So to use the SQLite engine, and then just name it db.sqlite3. So if I give it some other path here instead, that mydb and then db. So it will make a folder mydb, and then inside it will make. But if we just write this like 3 slashes and then db.sqlite3, so it will just use that instance folder. So this is automatically created, and then inside it will make this db.sqlite3. So this is the name which we set.
So when you run this app or when you restart this app, so what will happen to the DB? It will be overwritten and it will create a fresh DB.
No. So only if it is not present, or if any table is not present, or if any tables, any attribute is not present, it will just add that. So the data will not be touched. So I'll show that, but then basically we mention it here in the models, and this basically only if the database is not present or some table. So let's say we ran this and then it's present here, right? So but then we remembered we have to add another model. So we come down and we type another model and then we restart the app. So what it will do is it will not touch any other table, but it will just create that other table inside. So obviously there are nuances also, because usually if we add a table, we may add some relationships to other tables also, right? So we need to alter some table also. So SQLite in general is a little weak with altering tables. So like nothing to do with SQL Alchemy itself. So the SQLite engine itself uh, is not able to alter columns
Yeah.
or
Okay.
add columns easily. So it may be a problem. So what we do for that is using Flask migrate, but then I won't uh, touch upon that in this session because then it will go too deep. But yeah, if you are interested in how to do the migrations and stuff, you can look up how Flask migrate works. So that is even more powerful tool. So this will simply just create the tables if it is not existing, but Flask migrate can also change the basically the columns, update columns, remove columns, all that, and it does it
Okay.
automatically. Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, sure. So as you can see now, the database is created. So we don't have to actually use a DB browser or some other application. Directly in VS Code, we can open this. So for that, we use an extension called SQLite. Uh, yeah, SQLite Viewer. So just install this extension. So you don't have to do any configuration or anything. Just open this and click on install. So once it's installed, so if you then just click on this DB, it will open it directly in VS Code. So right now you can see all the models that we created, right? So user, category, product, cart, transaction, and orders. So all that is automatically created, and all the columns are also there. Obviously, there's no data in it, but then all the tables are created with all the columns that we mentioned it to have. And as you can see, the relationships are not directly present. So in the category, for example, we had products, but then in the category, we don't have that. We just have the ID and the name. So this relationship thing is managed by SQL Alchemy internally. It just knows to use the foreign key. So you cannot not have the foreign keys and just have the relationship. So it uses the foreign keys internally to do the mapping. So in the database, we just have this category ID, but in the object itself, we'll have a category also, which can refer to the category directly. Similarly, we'll have a products in the category, which can refer to the products. So we'll see all that in tomorrow's session when we are doing the controller stuff. So there we will be using the models. But then today we have just created the models. So take, I would say, 15 minutes and just come up till this stage so that you have basically parity with what we have done till now. So we have not changed anything in app or config. Yeah, so or routes, we have just added the modules here. So I'll basically share this so that it's easy for you. And let me open it twice so that it's scrolling also. Let me see if it's possible actually. Yeah, so I'll open the top part here, I'll open the bottom part here, and hopefully that should be enough. So let me know if this is okay for you guys.
Yes.
All right. Yeah, so there are nothing much on the to the sides which is cut off. It's basically nullable false on the places. All right, so let's take 15 minutes and then hopefully by that time you have created the models, and also try to run and see if it's giving you some errors or if it's working properly. So yeah, let's resume at 11:30. And yeah, I'll share the screen once again. One second. Yeah. All right. Yeah, Sridhar. So what you can do, I think you have not installed any of the things which we did that day. So
No,
basically,
I actually did it, and I can see that when I do pip freeze, it's showing that it's there.
oh, then basically you have, so there are basically the installation and the running, right? So make sure
Yeah,
both of them are done inside the virtual environment. So installed also you have done inside the virtual environment,
yeah.
and you have
Shall
run.
I share my terminal, sort of
Yeah,
thing?
sure. Let me stop sharing. So if anyone is copying this, just take a screenshot and I'll stop presenting. All right.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah. So is it sharing?
yeah, it's sharing.
So actually, you can see that pip freeze. It shows that SQL Alchemy is installed, but when I run the
Yeah, yeah. No,
Flask,
so I get what is the error. So you have installed SQL Alchemy, but we have to
yeah.
install Flask SQL Alchemy. So both are not the same.
Okay.
So if you install Flask SQL Alchemy, it will internally install SQL Alchemy automatically. So you just need to
Okay.
install Flask. I think it's dash SQL Alchemy, dash or underscore. I'm not sure,
Yeah.
but yeah,
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Thanks. Thanks. Thanks.
sure.
Uh,
Uh, yeah.
the link you set for yesterday's session, it says access denied.
Oh, yeah, because you were not there, right? So I'll add you
Okay,
there.
sure.
Yeah, just send me your email ID in the chat.
Yeah, 1 second.
Got it. Got it. Actually, I also got the mail, so yeah, never mind. I can open it from there directly. Yeah, I've given you the access.
Thank you.
All right,
So,
I'll
Sai, I
share.
have another doubt.
Yeah.
Like in for the this term Mad One project, they have asked if it might be able to download the book when we can actually buy after buying it. So how will you do it in a database? You should just create a link sort of row in that or what?
Yeah, so yeah, I'll get to that in the later days. So that's basically one of the advanced topics, right? So file management and PDF and all. Yes, but yeah, in short, what you do is basically so in the admin side, you allow them to upload files. So once they've uploaded it, it's basically moved to the statics folder, right? So as we were discussing, the statics folder contains all
Yeah.
these files. So it will be uploaded there, and that relative link, right? So from the static still whatever, so inside it may be a PDF folder, and then inside it may be some other file name. So that relative path is stored in the database. So PDF slash PDF123.pdf, that is stored in the database, and whenever a user then tries to access it, so they'll obviously in the database they'll also see if that user has access to that book or not. And then once they do, they'll just see in the database where it is stored in the file system, and they'll just give them access to it. So they'll
Okay.
basically open that link so that they can download the PDF.
Okay. Okay, Sai. Thank you.
I'll cover this in like day 6 or day 7. Don't worry.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. So let's resume at 11:30. So I may not be like able to hear if you're saying something. So just drop something in the chat if you have some doubts, and we'll continue at 11:30. All right, yeah, welcome back everyone. So let me share my full screen now. Yeah, so hopefully you have done till this part, right? And uh, didn't face any errors or issues. So I guess some of you were facing errors with Flask SQL Alchemy. So yeah, hopefully that's resolved now. All right, so now we've made the models.py. So we'll use this later again when we are doing the controller. So that's tomorrow. So now let's,
And
yeah,
actually,
yeah,
I
yeah,
got another error, something like the URL is not. Can you please open your .in
yeah.
showing the SQL database? Yeah,
I think you have not
Yeah.
given.
Okay. So while I was trying to run this, I got an error. That's why.
Have you done the configs part? Wait. Yeah, have you done this part?
Uh, eh, yeah. Just let me check once the full code.
Maybe .env, python.env is not installed.
Yeah,
No,
I think
I
you installed.
installed that too.
Yeah.
I got that error also. I installed that also.
So basically, it
Okay.
is declared here in .env, and then in the config, it is read into the app.
Okay. Okay. You can get on sign. I'll just try to run it and I'll get back to you after the end of the class.
Sure. All right.
Okay.
All right. So yeah. So let's now move into routes. So what are routes? So routes are basically the way to tell the system or the web server which page to show when, right? So your web server is present on your system, and then a normal user or a normal client comes and he sends a request to you, right? So normal HTTP request, if you remember from the MAD1 theory, it will have some headers and some details about him, and it will also have the URL which he is requesting. So obviously there is some URL, let's say www, but let's not worry about the first part. So anything after the .com or .in, so then there's a slash or something, right? So whatever sub uh, page he is trying to access. So let's say he's trying to access the main page, which is called slash. So the web server will then see, okay, where is slash? What should I show in there? So normal file servers or like simple web servers which just let you download files, what they do is they basically have a file system, right? So your folder or something like that. So maybe this is your folder. So they just run a server here and they just list all the folders present in your directory and they list them in the page itself. So once you go to the slash, it will list you, okay, so you have a folder called docs, you have a folder called download, something like that. So it will just list all the files and then you can click any of these links and it will basically then send another request to that link instead. So it's basically a recursive thing, right? So as long as files and folders are there, you can keep on traversing into them, and if there's, let's say, a file, so script, something like that, script.sh. So if you click that, what it will do is it will return you the file. So you can then download that file. So that is usually how the actual original web servers used to work. So they just listed files, and if it was, let's say, an HTML file, then if you click that, then it showed you the HTML page in the web browser. But now, obviously, the web servers are way more advanced than that. So what they do is they don't show the file system directly, but they still use the same way of the paths. So I can access something, let's say forward slash, I can access forward slash user or forward slash login, something like that. And these don't need to be present in the file system as folders like that. So how the web server works is it will just have internal listing. So it will say if the user tries to access slash, then show this, or do this first and then show this. If they want to access login, then show this. So all this mapping of what should be shown for what, that is done in the routes. So in the routes.py, so that's just a file which we created to segregate this part of the application. So there, as you can see, there's a app.route. So this is basically a decorator, what our decorators will learn in the coming days. But basically, this is how you define a route and you tell the Flask application. So app is the name of your Flask application. You tell them that if someone wants to go to / and then send them this index.html instead. So if you open the page right now, you can see that index.html has this login page because that is what we designed yesterday in the index.html. But let's say, okay, I want this to be there in the when someone goes to the /login. So I can create another route. So let's say app.route/login. And in here they will have, so I have to just basically make a method with a unique name. So the name doesn't really matter that much, but so that it's easier for us to remember, let's just name it login only. So inside this method, we basically now return what we want to see. So if I just return a text, let's say, so what happens is if I go to /login here, so it will return just that text, but text is not interesting, obviously. So let us, instead of returning the text login, let us return another HTML template. So we will return login.html. Now the problem is if when we do this and we refresh this page, it will tell me template not found. And this is because in our file system, we only have the index.html in the templates folder. So let's create that. And because we already have a login form, let me just copy the index as login instead. So let me copy the templates/index as templates/login.html. And now you can see we have two files and basically a copy of each other. So now if I reload this page, we will see the login page. And similarly, let me create a register page, which will let the people register. So let me do app.route register and then def register. And here also we will do basically return render template, and here it will be register.html. So because we're not dynamically rendering anything, so we don't pass any variables to it, we just render the template. So now I can simply again copy the index into register.html. So now you can see we have three files, and in the register, maybe let's just change this to register and not do anything else. So we'll make the changes later, but for now, let's just change this to register. And now we can see if I go to login, we see the login page. If I go to register, we see the register page. But then there's one thing which is we have to always write all these boilerplate code, right? So HTML basic boilerplate, we have to write in register, we have to write in login, we have to write in index all the time. So the way we can avoid basically duplication of code is using something called inheritance. So I guess we have already added that in the resources. Yeah, so you have Jinja documentation here, right? So you can just open it afterwards when you are going through the resources. And here you can search for, let's say, inheritance. And it should give you the template inheritance details. So this is basically a feature of Jinja in which basically you can create one template and then you can basically make that as the parent or the base template, and then you can have a child template. So how it works is basically you create a basic layout, as you can see the basic HTML boilerplate, and you have some blocks. So you tell, okay, this is a head block, and whatever I write inside, it is present. But then if someone is my child and they also write a head block, then just take their things which is inside the head and substitute with my head. So this is basically, so you don't have to have anything inside also, you can keep it empty. So basically this is a way to create a outer layout, and then we can just add contents inside. So let's not make it so complicated right now. Let's create a simple layout so that we can make it for all of these pages and we don't have to write the boilerplate all the time. So I'll start by creating a layout.html where we will be storing the actual layout. And here we will make it the emmet extension to make the HTML. So let's not change these right now. And the title. So usually for each page, the title will be different. So for the home page, we may say home. For the register page, we may say register. So the title is something that usually is not same for all the pages. So what I'll do is I'll create a block here. So one way is to actually type out the syntax. So that is brace percentage block title and then percentage brace. And then I can end the block using again brace percentage end block and then percentage brace. So as you can see, it's very tedious to do all this symbols and all. So a shortcut way to do this is if you have the Jinja extension installed, you can simply type j.block and it will give you this directly. So it comes directly and you can just set the name whatever you want. So let's call it title. Yeah. So now we have a block here.
Yeah. And what is the extension name?
Yeah, one second. Let me share. So there are a few extensions. So just install them. The names are, let me search this and show once again. Yeah, so it's Jinja, Better Jinja, and then Jinja snippets.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. All right. So basically now this block is basically a way to say that inside this title block, the things can be dynamic. So any child who basically says I am following this layout can change what is inside. But I can also give a default also. So let me just give the default as grocery shop. So this will be the default, and if someone updates it, then this will go. All right. So now let's also have, so the most important thing is the body. So let's have the block of body, and that's usually called content. Yeah. So we have the block content here, and then, so let me just define all the blocks that we need, and then I'll use them one by one. So after the content, we also have the scripts like the HTML, the JavaScript scripts if you want to have any. So we'll have j.block, sorry, j.block script scripts. And so this is basically one block. This is basically one block. And right now we don't have anything inside it, but we just have empty blocks so that anyone extending this layout can just put things inside it as and when they want. So let's also have a block for the style, right? So we can have a style block also. So this is where we will have the CSS things loaded. So as you may have learned in Mad1 that in HTML, the CSS should be imported in the head, whereas the content should be there in the body. So that's why we have the style block in the head and the content and script block in the body. And the script block usually should be after the content so that so once the script has loaded, it already has access to all the content. So if you have the script in the head or before the content, then the script may be trying to access something in the content which is still not rendered yet. So better to have the script at the end. So yeah, that is more or less all that we need for the layout right now. So we'll change some of it later. So now what we can do is, instead of doing all of this all the time, what we can do is we can delete all this and I can just type j.extends. Sorry, not this, j.extends, and yes, this Jinja. So what this will do is it will create a extends tag, and Jinja will know, okay, so I want to take some parts of the HTML from this layout file. So I'll just give its name, layout.html, and now I can just plug and play some parts of it. So let's say in the content I want to say, so I'll have j.block content, and I'll say this is the content of index. And so as you can see, we have not declared any HTML here. We have not declared any title here. But let me save this. And then if I go to the application, the normal slash, which is the index, you can see this is the content of the index. So this is fine, but then you can also see that the title is set for this tab, grocery shop. But then we never set the title here, right? So this is basically taken from the layout. So here we have declared the grocery shop, and that is taken. So just to further demonstrate how this is working, so let's say I have something here. So before child and something here after child. So now if you reload this page, you can see before child, then this is from the index, and then after child. So the things which we have wrote in index, this thing is automatically put inside this part. So that is usually how the template inheritance works. So this will be very useful so that we don't always write the same HTML boilerplate code, and we can focus on actually creating the designs. So this is how we will be using the templates. So yeah, give me 1 minute. All right. Yeah. So let's design the basic login and register page now. So as you can see, these pages are still using the old way of writing the HTML. So we'll remove this, and we'll again do the j.extends. So this is the register page. So I'll again extend the layout.html. And then now we'll have the block, which will be for the content. And here we can add all the content. But before that, let me also define the title. So if you remember, we have a default title, but then we can override it using the block title. So let me have a block title, and let me write here register page. So here I can basically have the same thing which I had earlier. So heading, and then if I now open the register page, yeah, you can see the title is also changed to register page, and whatever the content we wrote, it's still there. We didn't have to write any boilerplate. We just got the main HTML thing here. All right, so let's create the form again quickly. So we'll have a form.form. So this will create a form with the class form, and inside we'll have a few form groups, right? So yeah, you can get the suggestion and see if it's correct. So yeah, the type is password, the name is password, the input is password, and then we have username. And we can also have the confirm password because this is the register page, and we'll also take the name of the user. So let us take that after the password maybe. So we can have another form group. So this is also another quick way to create divs, right? So div, so for other tags, if you let's say create span.abc and press enter, it will make a span with the class abc. But for div, you can write div, but you can omit that also. So just dot form dash group will automatically create a div with the class form group. So inside, let's create the labels. So obviously this is wrong. So we want for the name. So I'll have label, and then we will have the for name, and here we will write name. All right, and then similarly we'll have the input. So input will be text. So if I give input colon text, this will automatically expand to input type text, and then the name is name, and then the ID is name. So we have created the form for the register now. If I refresh, we can see the form is there, and the username is there, so I can enter the username. The password is hidden from this. The confirm password is there, and then the name is there. All right, so let us make a few more HTML changes. So as we know, for registration, the username and the password and the confirm password is mandatory, but the name can be empty also. So to do that, what we do is in HTML, we use the required tag. So I'll just add the required tag here in the input of the first three, but not added in the name. So you can see right now, if I have it empty and if I press register, it is coming to the same page and it's basically reloading. But if I save this now and I reload this page, and if I do an empty and then register, it will not let us. It will say, please fill out this field. So this is a simple way to check if the user has entered what they should enter, but then we should not rely solely on this. So as you can see, this is just in the front end, right? So I can simply right click and go to inspect, and I can select this element, and I can remove the required from here. So the user can do anything from the front end. So we should not just rely on front end checks, but it's good to have there. So later, like in day 3, when we're doing controllers, we'll also see how to do the backend checks. So right now, let's just focus on creating the page and how it looks. All right. So till now, we have created the register page and the basic skeleton of it, but then it does not look good, right? So the elements are there, but obviously it's looking very bad. There is no styling to it. So one way is we had the style block, right? So here, so we can just create a style block and then do all the CSS by ourselves, but then it will get really long and really boring also for us to do for styling every page. So one thing which we do is we use a framework called Bootstrap. So Bootstrap, if you see, I think we have it here. Yeah, Bootstrap. So Bootstrap is a basically CSS thing which lets us create simple designs without thinking much. So we can just use the default styles of Bootstrap and it will give us some usable content. So obviously it won't be unique. So if you want to add your unique touch, you have to change the styles yourself, but it will look good enough. So what we do is, one way to do is we can install it using npm, but then we are not going to do that because this is usually done for front-end applications like when you're using Vue and all. So for Mad1, we can simply search Bootstrap CDN, or we can, I think, also get it here. Yeah, so if you scroll down, we have include via CDN. So what we can do is we can copy this link and in the layout itself, because we want it to be present in all the pages. So we don't want to do it in each page. Directly in the layout, what we will do is here, we will paste this, which is the, so not here, in the new line, we will paste this, which we copied. So it's basically a link of adding a CSS file, but then instead of it being locally stored, it is taking from the internet. So CDN basically is a content delivery network. So these are basically websites or web servers whose main purpose is to serve these files. So they exist only for you to be able to access these Bootstrap files and some other files. So that is how CDNs work. So we'll just take this link to that Bootstrap CDN and we'll import that. So don't worry about this integrity and all. This is just a way to verify if the file was correct or not. So we just copy and paste it here. And similarly, we copy this script also. So this script is for doing some scrolling stuff and some other stuff. So we don't have to worry about that much. We can just simply paste it here in a new line. All right, so we have now included the Bootstrap basic things. And if we press save and we just reload our page, so even without doing anything, you can see it is looking at least a little better. So the basic styles of the serif font is now changed to sans serif and all the fonts look a little better, but still it's not looking good. So how we can make it better is basically we add a few classes to each of the elements, which makes Bootstrap understand how it should style it. So let's open the register page now. And a few things we can do. So I won't get into details of all the things in Bootstrap. So obviously that will be a very long video itself. So that's why I've added it as a resource. So you can go to the Bootstrap and you can click on the docs and whatever you want to do. So as you can see, there are multiple things here. So you can just go over the things which are possible and you can see how it works. So yeah, let's do a few simple styling. So in the H1, so right now this is the size of the heading. So what you can do is you can add a class of, let's say, display one. So what this will do is it will make it even bigger and better. So this is now the heading of our register page. And similarly for the forms, so if you open the Bootstrap page, you can see there is a page for form itself. So you can search for form and yeah, you can see there's a page for form. And this is how Bootstrap forms look by default. So as you can see, there is a few classes which we can add. So in the label, for each label, we can just add the class form-label. And for each input, we can add the class form control. So let's do that. So for each label here, let's add the class form label. And for each input, let's add the class form control. So we have done it only for the first one now. So let's see how it looks. So if you reload, you can see already it's looking a little bit better. So it's a little too wide, but then we can fix that later. But at least now the default styles are not there. So let's do that real quick for the others also. So I'll just remove these and create them again. Yeah, similarly, we'll have one for the password confirm, and then we'll have one for the name. So group, and then inside I'll have label for name, and let it do the rest of the prediction. And yeah, class is form name name, and then input is form control name. And I'll remove the required from the name because we can keep it empty also. All right, and then we'll have a submit button. We don't need this. We'll have the, so we'll have a group, and then we'll have just the input, which will be submit. So if I do input colon submit, it will automatically create an input which is of type submit, and I can just type the value which is register in here. And if I save this now, so you can see we have all these looking nice, but then the register button is still looking pretty basic. So what we can do is we can add some style to it, which is class equals button. So BTN means button, and then what type of button we can add BTN primary. So primary is basically a blue color. So if we save this now, you can see that the button is also styled properly. But then now you can see all the things are basically touching the leftmost corner, right? So there should be some gap in there. So usually this can be done simply by just wrapping everything in a container. So what we will do is go to the layout itself, and we'll say everything that my child are going to create inside the content, just put it inside a container div. So if I have a div with a class container, and I just move this below, so everything in the content is going to be inside this div class container. So then it will automatically add some padding to the left and right. So that's the basics of how Bootstrap works, and there are obviously like multiple things, right? So there are also components like accordions and alerts. As you can see, this collapsible things, all this is, so you can do it directly in Bootstrap. So you don't have to code anything for that. You can just copy the Bootstrap for that. Similarly, we have alerts. So we will be using this later, like 1 or 2 days later. And then, so there are multiple things in Bootstrap. So obviously we cannot cover all of this, but then yeah, you can go through how these works and which you may think is interesting and add to your project, right? So card is something which is interesting because you can basically create something like this, right? So a card with some image, some title, some button. So maybe for the user dashboard, we can use this. So similarly, there are multiple other things. So we can have image slideshow like this, which is called a carousel. So I'll not go into details of all the things which are present there, and we'll just include some Bootstrap and some styling here and there as and when we are required. So let's now style the login page also like this. So it's not much different. So what we'll do is we'll open the login page. And here we'll remove all this because this is basically creating the all the boilerplate again. So we'll again do, can anyone tell me how do we get from the layout? How do we inherit the basic layout?
Extends layout.html.
Yes, exactly. So I can use the extends, which will do extends, and then we can type here layout.html. So this will basically ask Jinja to use this layout. And then similarly, we'll have all the other things, right? So let me just copy everything from here, and then I'll change things as and when required. Sorry. Yeah. All right, and the register, I'll just change it to login. And similarly here, I'll change the register to login. And we'll have username, we'll have password. We don't need a confirm password. We don't need a name. and we just need the submit button, and instead of it having the word register, we'll have the word login. And now if I go to slash login, you can see we have the login page also styled. So as you can see, once you have learned to do the basic things for one page, so this took us around 15 minutes, but then the login page took us only, like, I would say 2 to 3 minutes. So once you know how to do the basic styling, so styling similar pages becomes really quick. So we have done the basic routes and the login and the register routes, and we have also made the pages, so the login and the register pages. But then the pages right now don't work. So if I do this login, it will not do anything. It will just send something to the URL, right? So the username and password is added to the URL. So that is not usually how we will do. So we will change the method to post and work on the controllers, but that we will do tomorrow. So yeah, I think
Shan,
someone.
can you open the login.html page just for a minute?
Yeah, sure.
Just to observe what we are doing. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so basically that is what I was going to say. So that let's take a few minutes to basically catch up to this place, right? So we have now created the front end pages, which is login and register. So there's not much left for us to do today. So there's one more thing which we will do, which is creating the nav bars, and then we'll obviously take doubts. So before creating the nav bar, let's catch up till this stage. So I'll again basically give us a 15 minutes break. Hope that's fine, and then in that time, hopefully we can catch up till this. So the things which we have changed, let me just put on the screen for you. So the login page is there, the register page is there. Do you have a grandfather's clock at your place?
Yes, it is in from my home.
Oh, that's really nice.
I'll send you a picture later.
Yeah, sure. You can send it in the G space.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Good you cast that sound.
Yeah, it's really pleasant to hear like really nice clock. So
I spent more than what it is, the amount which I have purchased it. I mean, my grandfather purchased it.
yeah, because right now we just have digital clocks and all, right? So we see the time, next second we forget it, but things like this keep us grounded.
Yeah, it reminds.
Yeah. All right, so I think the login and the register are the only pages, and the layout also, I guess. So let me open the layout page. One second. Layout, and let me put it in the below, maybe. Oh, not like this. Yes. I don't know if this is visible enough. Maybe let me move it here, and do let me know if things are visible. If it's small, is it visible, or is it too small to see?
Actually, you
Okay.
can do view and word wrap too, so that everything is visible.
Yeah, good idea. I think we have to do it separately for each file, right? Yeah. So yeah, is this configuration fine? I think the last part is not visible. I'll open this here also. Wait 1 second. This itself is like a new challenge for me, how to make it visible for all the pages. Yeah, let me open the layout in both the panes at the bottom, and we can have, so this part is totally visible, the login page. We'll have the top of the layout here, we'll have the bottom of the layout here.
I think we can have register and layout because login is just a replication of register, so that I
Yeah.
believe we can manage with that if everybody's okay with that.
All right, so this is fine, right? We'll remove
Yes.
empty lines. So yeah, that's all the content there is. I think, yeah, we can see everything. All right, so I'll just share the screen. 1 second. Let me stop sharing this one, and I'll just share that one. And let's resume again at 12:15. So just get up to speed till this one, the few pages, and then we'll implement the navbar. All right. All right. So hopefully you have made the login and the register payment and using the layout, right? So instead of doing it directly each time, we have created one layout and then inherited that. So let me share my screen again. You're getting error of 404 not found whenever I run the app in browser. Yeah, so yeah, thanks. Can you share your screen so that we can debug it? I'll stop sharing. Hello, am I audible? Yeah. All right, so you have the layout.html, that is fine. And then which page is not opening? So in the browser, I think you're sharing only the VS Code page. I can't see your browser. Yeah, sure. You can unmute and speak if it's fine. So easier than typing in the chat. Yeah, so you're running it and then you're opening it. Yeah, can you show your routes page, routes.py? All right, so you have given it to the, just check once if you are inside the virtual environment when you're running the script. And all right, and then instead of running using Python app.py, try running it using the Flask run. So close this and type Flask space run. The system cannot find the file specified. You do have Flask installed, right? Yeah. So Flask run unable to create process in Python.exe, Flask.exe run the system verify. Yeah. Can you show me the like installed libraries in your requirements.txt, or maybe you can just do pip please. All right. So this looks fine. It should have Flask. And you are in the VN also. So you have set up the .env also, right? .env file. Yeah, try without the spaces in there, in like to the left and right of the equals. I'm not sure if that will fix it, but then yeah, let's try with that. Although this should not cause that error. Yeah, just save this and try again. All right. So, oh, you're not running it in the WSL, is it? All right. Is your mic maybe not working? It would be easier if you can unmute and speak. Oh, all right, that's fine. So I'm not sure about the Windows player, like PowerShell one. So because I've not used it much. So usually it will be working. So if you do have WSL, maybe try with that. Or if anyone else can spot
Just,
something wrong.
just one doubt whether the project name is mad underscore one or it is a empty space with one, because sometimes when we give, I mean, Windows will take file name and folder name with space. I think you can change empty space will create some problem which cannot be identified a lot of times. It will be
Okay,
great if
okay,
we can change it, because if you see it is not trying to able to find the flask because the path contains empty space. I
okay, okay.
believe
Yeah,
mad space one space something like that.
yeah, yeah. Usually it's a good practice also to not have space in folder
Yeah,
names.
we should not have space.
Yeah.
Instead, we can have underscore for all the. Even though Windows supports space, it will create a problem which we cannot identify in many times.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So better if you can just rename the folders so in the path, so to in not have spaces, and then try to see if it works. And if not, you can also try. So we already went over WSL yesterday. So just try to use WSL also and see if it's working for you in there. Yeah, sure. So yeah, let's continue from where we left off. All right, so let me close all these. All right. Yeah, so we have done till the login and the register page. So for today's agenda, there's not much left to do. So we'll just create the nav page. So nav bar. So as you can see right now, there's no way for me to go from the login to the register page. So I have to come to the URL bar and I have to type register manually, and then I have to get to the register page. So usually there should be a nav bar at the top so that the user can just click the login or the register link and they can go there. So the one way to do this is obviously because we already have a layout file now, we can just open the layout.html and we can create the navbar here. So before the container, we can just create the navbar. So if it's, let's say, so this is obviously not a navbar, but then let's say we create it like this. So then we'll have it at the top. So for the register as well as the login page, we'll have it always there. So we just have to design and declare it once, and then we can have it in all the pages directly. So for navbar also we can use the bootstrap because it does have a navbar component. So let's use this one, navbar. And there are multiple navs. As you can see, this is too complicated as drop downs and all. So let's not use this one. We'll use a simple navbar, this one, and we'll just copy this style. And here I'll just paste this. So as you can see, we now have a navbar in our layout, and if I save and refresh this page, we now have this nav. So we can make it dark, we can make it light also, that's totally fine. But yeah, so the main thing is we'll change some of the text here so that it fits our project. So instead of navbar, we'll name it the grocery, and then the link will just always point to the root. And now we'll have two items. So here there are multiple. So let's delete a few of them. And we'll just have two items. So one will be called login and the other will be called register. So now you can see we have grocery and two things, login and register, but then obviously the clicks don't work. So for that, we have to also set the anchor tags link correctly. Now here is one thing which usually people get wrong. So what they do is they see, okay, so in my routes, I have set register as /register and login as /login. So I'll just open this here and I'll set the href to /login and I'll set the this one for register as /register. So this will obviously work. As you can see, if I save this and reload, and if I click login, it's opening login. If I click register, it's opening register. But what happens is, let's say after a few days, you decide to change some endpoint. You decide to make this, okay, login 123. So usually the way Flask is designed is it should not create a problem if you suddenly change a route. But then you can see because you hard coded the link here. So if you click register, it's working. But if you click login, it will give you some error that, okay, login is not defined. So the correct way to do this is, instead of hard coding the link here, what we do is we use a Flask method, which is called URL for. So we use this double braces, which is Jinja. So anything we write inside of Jinja, it will use Python to evaluate it. So we can type Python code here. So we'll use the URL for method of Flask so that I can get the link for the register method. So this register word is taking from this function name. So function name usually we will not change, but then the endpoints we may change. So it will search for this function present in your routes, and then whatever route it is pointing to, it will dynamically point to that route instead. So instead of /login, we'll also make this URL for login. So now if you go back here and reload, you can see the links are still there, and the register, if you can see at the bottom of the page, it points to register, but the login now automatically points to login 123. So it will work directly. And if now I decide, okay, no, this is a really bad URL, so I'll just change it back to login, and then we don't have to do anything else. I can just click the register, it will go to register, and I click on login and it will go to login. So that is how we use this URL for, and this is something we will be using throughout the project. So it's a very powerful and useful function that we use inside Jinja so that I can get links for things. So right now we're just using it for let's say static links, right? So I'm just giving login, and as you can see, login just has URL like this. But then there will be also be endpoints later on when we're doing day 3 and day 4 and all. So there will be things like, let's say, slash user slash fun, or something like slash cart slash add slash 1. So this 12. So this will say basically, okay, for my current user, add the product ID 12 into its cart. So creating all this like with a hard-coded link will be very impossible. So for that also, URL for will be very useful. So it will automatically see what are the parameters we need for each method, and we can just provide it there as variables, and then it will automatically create the links. So that we will see tomorrow and after that once we are doing the controllers. So now let's get back to the nav bar. So the nav bar is more or less done. So we can just tweak a few changes. So as you can see, it uses container fluid instead of container. So that's also a Bootstrap thing. So if you have container fluid, it will take up the full screen. And if you delete that, and if you make it just container, then it will take only like some parts of your screen. So let me get back to this one. All right, and I think we can also make it dark mode. I have to see the documentation how to do that. So here we have the background as BG body tertiary. I think if we remove that, it may become dark mode. 1 second. Okay, so now it has become totally white. So earlier it was a shade of gray. I don't know if it's visible through Google Meet because the bitrate will be low, but then yeah, so we can set the body color here. I think if I maybe change it to dark or black, it may work. I don't remember exactly the documentation, but yeah, so we'll have to read the documentation to see how to change it to dark. So let's keep it white right now because our entire application is white. So right now we just have the login and the register links, but then we should also have the profile and the cart and the orders links. So, but then that should not be visible when the user is logged in, when the user is not logged in, right? So when someone has not logged in, they should only see these two links. And when after they have logged in, they should be able to see all those things like profile and cart and all. So all that we will do later, in a few days later, in day 5. So for now, we'll just create this nav bar. So now one more thing, let us see that we have created the nav bar in our layout.html, but as you can see, slowly it's becoming big itself, right? So the layout itself is becoming big because we're adding everything inside here. So let's now see another thing which we can do in Jinja. So we already saw how to do extends and inheritance. So very similar to the extends inheritance, we can also do includes. So instead of it acting like a child, it will act like a separate component that we can add. So let me quickly delete this and create a new file called navbar.html. So in this, I'll just have the HTML. So I won't even have the HTML boilerplate and all. I'll just have the HTML for the navbar. And in the layout now, what I will do is I'll just use j.include. I think that's, yeah, j.incl. So it will make this snippet of Jinja, which is include. And here I can say navbar.html. And what this will do is this will basically do the same thing. So it will find this file, which is navbar.html. It will take all this thing that is present here and it will replace this line with all that. So the end result will be exactly the same. As you can see, the navbar is still there and it's basically at the top of the page. And so now because we have this, so we can, if you want, so let's say if it was instead of navbar, it was some other element or some other component which we want to create multiple times. So we can just declare it once here, and then we can use this includes anywhere we want. So now if I, let's say, just copy and paste this 2 times, so now I'll have 2 navbars. So this makes our life very easy if you want to do some, like copy some elements in multiple places. So yeah, that is how we use the include to create a navbar and then include it into our layout. So we could have also basically, instead of adding it in the layout.html, we could have opened login and then included the thing there. So I could have pasted this here, but then because it's inside the container, it may look a little bad. So it may crop out. So that's why we, and because if we do it in login, then we have to also do it in register and all other pages. So we don't do it in each pages, we just do it in the layout instead. So that at the top of each page, we don't have to every time declare the nav bar, it will always be there. So whichever page we open, the nav bar is present. So yeah, is there any doubts in this one? The nav bar and then how to include it in from a separate file. So you can also go to the navbar documentation and see other things also how to do it. So for instance, you can also maybe add an icon if you want. So you can get any image or create a simple image and put it in the statics and then add it.
Sayan,
Yeah.
can you show me that layout.html once?
Yeah, sure. So yeah, this is the layout.
Okay. Okay, actually the nav bar is not included in the content, right? So when we are in the login, we are writing inside the content our whatever form we are doing.
Yes, exactly.
So how does it automatically get updated in the login page when it is not inside that content?
Yeah, see, so if we put something in the content in the layout, what that means is this is the default. So sorry. That means is this is the default. So if I put something here and I am obviously extending it in the login and register, right? And I have the block content here. So if I am putting something in the block content, so whatever I put here will never be rendered. So if I put a word here and let me reload the page, you can see that default word is nowhere shown. So only if I don't have anything in my login with the block content, only then the default will be shown. So as you can understand from the name, right? So this is just for something in default. So what we write here will never be shown if it's overwritten. So but this entire layout is basically shown. So this is like a page which is shown, and then these are the places where the child can add their own element. But the navbar, we don't want the child to add like individually one by one. The navbar, I want it to be there always for each page, right? So what we do is we don't have it in the block content, we have it before that, but it's still inside the body, right? So in the body, the first thing that's present is the navbar. So the navbar will always be rendered, and then I'm telling inside that create a div called container, and in that let my child create whatever it wants to create or show whatever it wants to create. So the entire page is basically the layout page, and whatever is from like here to here, it's whatever the child is showing. So here the child is showing the login, and here it's showing the register, but the like outside HTML and CSS is always the same.
Okay, okay. But I am getting some error. The nav bar is not showing after I put includes, and can I once
Yeah,
see?
sure. So you make sure you have created the file with the same name that you're using here. Yeah, you can share
Okay,
your
yeah, I
screen here.
did
Let me
that.
let me
Okay.
stop sharing and you can share.
So this is the nav bar. Okay, sorry, I didn't save it. It seems. Let me just try it once.
Yeah, try once.
Uh, yeah. I didn't actually save it. I was just editing and I didn't save
Yeah,
it. Sorry,
yeah, that's
silly
fine.
mistake.
That's fine. Yeah, it happens. So yeah, especially when we are like trying to catch up to something, right? So we will hurry and then forget to do some basic stuff. So that's fine. Yeah, if you want, we can take some time to replicate this part also, because then there's not much left to be done. So for today, we are done. So what we did was we created the login page, the register page. We included Bootstrap, and we saw what are CDNs and how to include things from the CDN. And we also created the basic nav bar. So in the upcoming days, we'll also change the nav bar and add the conditional rendering so that when the user is authenticated, we see something, and if he's not, we see something else. So now I guess we can take doubts now, because So for anything that we have done today, if you have anything that you are not understanding or getting some errors, we can now discuss that. So take some time and try to see if it's working for you, and then we'll discuss the topic. All right. So in the meantime, what I'll do is I'll add everything which I did into our Git. Right. So as you can see, so many things are green and blue. So we added a lot of files. We modified a lot of files. So let me do Git status, and you can see, okay, so app.py already existed at the end of day one, but then we have changed something in app.py, and then similarly templates / index.html already existed, but then we have changed something there. But there are also some new files which we created today, which are totally untracked. So the layout.html, login.html, navbar.html, register.html, and the roots.py, model.py, config.py, and instance. So we can add these to our Git, but then is there something in here which we should not add or we should not track? Something among the ones listed which should not usually be added to Git or tracked, or something which is not part of the code per se. Just take a guess. It does not have to be correct. So we'll anyway discuss what that is. So out of these, which you think may not be part of code and we should not add it to the Git repository?
I think everything can be.
Routers, I think.
All right. So you're saying everything is part of code, right? Yeah. So this actually you can ignore, because we know that this is correct because we've already added it. So something in these is what I'm asking. So yeah, you're right. So HTMLs are something which we definitely should have, because the code will not work without them. Pythons are also something which we should have. The thing I'm talking about is the instance portion, right?
Database.
So yeah, in the instance we have the database, and yes, we do need the database for the application to work, but the data or the data of the user or some temporary data while we are developing, that data we actually don't want to store, or we don't want when we are collaborating to, so that every time we are changing some data, it is being updated to the GitHub. So what we do is, because our code already handles missing database, right? So if you remember, we did in the models.py, let me open that. In the mods.py, we have already handled that. So if the database does not exist, create the database, and if the tables does not exist, create the tables. So if someone is now cloning this repository and running this folder and this file will be auto-created for them. And that is how we want it to be. So we don't want them to supply some random data from our own. So this folder, instance folder, will also add it to the gitignore. So we'll open the gitignore file, and here we will add instance. So even when you're submitting also, you can remove this instance and db in this from this. So it's not required because it's not a big file, but yeah, you can remove it, because while demonstrating it will obviously again be created. So we have added it to the gitignore now. So now if you do git status again, we will see that is no longer there. So it's telling you have changed the gitignore now, but that instance is now removed from here. So what we can do is we can simply say git add dot. So it will add everything in the current directory. So these will be staged again, and these also will be added and staged. And then if I do git status, I can see that now everything is blue. So that means that they are staged for committing. So basically they are in my cart to purchase now. So something like that, obviously not the same thing, but yeah, so it means now I can do a commit and then it will be committed. So I can write git commit -m updates of day 2 or something of that sort. And if I want to give some extra details, I can give again a -m and say the models and the login routes are added. This will basically be a description. So this dash m and then this one is the description, and this dash m, this one is the title of the commit. And if we do this, so now our git commit is done. So till today, we will be using just git and doing the committing, but then please do watch the two videos which I have linked here. One second. Yeah, the Git and GitHub 1 and 2. So they'll give you a basic idea of what we will also be doing from tomorrow, which is pushing it to a repository. So because this is a bootcamp, you can push this to a public repository also. So as you were asking, right? So should it be public or private? So yeah, for this one, it can be public. You can make it private also, but then yeah, make sure for your original project which you're working on that it is private. So we'll do that tomorrow when we start pushing things to GitHub. All right, and as you can see, because once we have added and committed it, everything is now white again.
We can push it to Git, but we don't have to push it to GitHub now.
Yeah, so we basically don't push it to Git, but then yeah, we have already initialized Git here, and we have added and committed. So that's all you need to do for Git. And if you want to now push it to GitHub, which is a website where others can also see and collaborate, so that is an additional step which we will do from tomorrow. But then yeah, so right now we have only done Git, so you can obviously just do Git, and I would even encourage you to do Git, because that helps you keep track of your changes, and also it may also be added to the project this term or from the after term. But yeah, adding to the GitHub you can do, but then if it's your original project, then make sure that the when creating the repository that you mark it as private. So it is added to GitHub, but then others cannot see it. So yeah, if you're adding it to GitHub, just make sure it's private if it's your original code. For this bootcamp code, you can add it to a public repo also. It's fine. Hope that clarifies, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
And one more thing, while if we clone this repo, an
Yeah.
instance folder will not be there. But
Exactly. Yeah.
once we run the Flask app, it will automatically be created.
Yes.
No?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
So the instance folder is something which is created automatically by Flask, so by the SQL Alchemy basically. So and because we have given the name of that as db.sqli3, it will also auto create this file, and then all the tables inside will also be created. The only thing which will not be there is the data, right? So right now we have not added any data ourselves also, so as you can see all the tables are empty, but then from tomorrow we will be adding them. So if someone clones it, they won't have the data, but they will have everything set up and ready. So usually that's how we want it to be. So just because I am developing and I created some user 1, user 2, user 3, doesn't mean anyone cloning it should also first of all get to know if I'm using emails, the emails of my users, or the password hashes or something like that. So the data is something which is user dependent, right? So every user creates and manages their own data. So we are just making the code and the templates and all available in the GitHub.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, sure. So yeah, if you are still working on the nav part, just so you can obviously you don't have to copy it from here and type it on your own. You can just go to the Bootstrap and copy it from there. And you can also do it after this session is over. That's fine. So just remember how we did it. So we created a navbar file and we added it here, and then we just included that in the layout. And yeah, so if you have any doubts while doing this, or if you have any other doubts with anything we did today, just let me know. So the rest of the session is basically doubt clearing session now, because we have covered everything we had to cover for today.
Hello.
Yeah, go ahead.
Can I ask a doubt? Actually, I'm having
Yeah,
problems with the Visual Studio VS Code.
yeah.
Like actually, the extensions are not even like auto suggestion is not working. What
Uh,
may be causing that error?
Yeah, so once you have installed the extension, so most extensions they ask you to reload the VS Code. I think that is what you have to do. So, or if you're talking about the like elaborate suggestions, that is part of the GitHub Copilot. But I'm talking about the normal suggestions. So
No,
let's say you
normal
want
suggestions
the
like Emmet
yeah
and everything,
yeah. So
snippets.
that should be working. So make sure. So Emmet should be working even without installing any extensions, right? So if you just type exclamation, so this should be coming. Is it not coming for you?
No, actually, it's not coming. That's why I'm asking.
Oh,
I
that's
every time I
strange.
need to, it's like I need to type it fully, the HTML code. That's why.
Okay, that should not be the case. Because even because Emmet is now directly part of VS Code, so you don't even need to install it or anything.
Okay.
If it's not working, maybe try installing these other Emmet extensions, so Mithril Emmet or Emmet Live. So I think this one has like 1 million, so it
No,
may
I
be
have
good.
installed multiple extensions, but still, then there's no. It's not
Uh,
actually using giving some syntax, default syntax or something.
all right. So after installing, did you like click the reload button here? So
Uh,
usually if you install, it may ask you
yeah.
to reload the, so not for all extensions, some extensions does ask you. Or what you
If I
can do
close and
is,
open, same case,
yeah,
right?
that will also work. So just close and open the VS Code and see if it's working.
Okay, I'll just see and I'll get back.
Yeah, sure. Anyone else facing this issue in VS Code, like the suggestions, Emmet's ones are not working? This one's,
No, no. Sometimes reinstalling VS Code also works.
oh, all right. Yeah, so yeah, see if it's still not working, maybe you can reinstall VS Code also. Or if someone has faced this issue with some other solution also, please do speak up, let him know. Because usually it has worked for me all the time. But yeah, if
Yeah, it's still
some of
not
you face
working. I
this,
think I need to reinstall it maybe.
yeah, try that. Make sure you're installing like the latest version of VS Code. So just go to the, so you're on Windows, right?
Yeah, I'm on Windows.
Yeah, just search for Visual Studio Code and then get the latest one for you. So it'll be, yeah, this one. Just click here and download.
Yeah. But maybe the previous settings are coming again. I will come again maybe. How to avoid that?
Uh, so there will usually be a folder where the VS Code data is stored. I'm not exactly
Okay.
sure about where it is in Windows. It's some place like called app data, if I remember correctly. So or some other place also. So just Google where the VS Code settings are stored
Yeah.
and just delete
Okay.
that folder.
Yeah.
In
I'll just try
C
that.
in C drive, it is the VS Code folder is stored. You can delete that.
Oh, it's directly inside C, is it?
Yes.
Yeah. So if you have this VS Code or something, so just delete that folder. Yeah, Tanish also said that you can check for updates inside VS Code itself. So see if it's out of date or something like that. So I think this C VS Code may have the program files but not the settings. It may also have both. So yes, see this and then usually there is some like user slash app data thing. There you may also have some VS Code. So see if that's there and try to delete that folder also. But obviously don't delete like other app data. So don't delete the entire folder. It will cause trouble. Just find the VS Code folder and delete that.
Yeah. Okay. Let me just try that.
Yeah, sure.
Sign how to incorporate that GitHub Copilot?
Yeah,
Use.
because we have extra time in our hand now, let's take a quick look at that. So there are multiple steps in that. So usually GitHub Copilot is a paid thing, but because we are students, we get it for free using the GitHub Student Developer Pack. So you can search this and you will usually get the first link from GitHub Education. So when I did it 3 years back, the process was pretty simple. You give your IITM email ID, right? So 21F100 something something, and at our time it was at student.onlinedegree.iitm.ac.in. So you give that email, and then in one day they approve you as a student. So they have to basically check if you're actually a college student or not. So they approve you, and then you get the GitHub developer pack. Right now, I think there is some extra steps you have to do. So maybe the ds.study domain is not working directly. So that you can just ask around in your friend group. I'm not exactly sure what to do. There are some things like you have to set the location to that IITM actual location, something like that. And yeah, so once you get the student developer pack, as you can see, part of the perks of getting, so they give you a lot of things, right? So basically they give you something like $200 credits of DigitalOcean, so you can host your projects there. They give you lots of other things. They give you hostingers and something like that. So part of the perks is the GitHub Copilot. So they let you access GitHub Copilot for free. So part of that is in Visual Studio Code. You can access the GitHub Copilot extension. So once you have done that, like got access to Copilot, just come to the extensions, and here you can search for Copilot. Yeah, Tanishq also says that you can change the location through Chrome DevTools. Yeah. Then just give the ID card. Yeah, so right now you have to give the ID card also and change the location to IITM campus and give the email, all that. Yeah, so you can see you will have this GitHub Copilot and GitHub Copilot chat. So you can just install them, and then it will, at the first time, it will ask you to authenticate. So it will tell you, are you sure you want to authenticate, some like prompt here, and you have to say yes, and then it will open a web browser where you have to basically give your GitHub username and password, and that's all. So after that, it should be working. So it may ask you to something like reload. You can just click it, and it will then give you the suggestions. But then, yeah, a word of caution, obviously, that ChatGPT, GitHub Copilot, all are AI models, right? So it may give you right suggestions also, it may give you wrong suggestions also. So take the suggestions with a grain of salt. So understand what the code is doing, and then only decide if you want to keep that or not. Yeah, so let's see how we can change the location, as we mentioned, right? So you can, I don't know where, someplace here, you can maybe change the location. So maybe not the application, maybe someplace else. Yeah, it's there where you basically get the option to change your current location. So basically, the website will try to access your location from the browser, and instead of giving you, like, instead of giving the actual location, you can give a mock location. So I think it's somewhere here. So I don't know. If you know, Tanishq, you can let us also know. Yeah, I can't seem to find that option here, but then, yeah, it should be present somewhere. Yeah, I think Tanishq has given you a detailed manual, right? How to do it. So you can just follow this and also ask your friends how they activated Student Copilot, Student Pack, GitHub Student Pack. So yeah, once you've activated that, then the Copilot in your VS Code should be working. But obviously, for everyone here listening on, so obviously this is not something you have to do. It's just one of the productivity tools that you can use, but yeah, it's not, definitely not something that is required or you have to do. All right, so today we covered, let me move this. Today we covered all these. So we have done the initial main.py, we have done the config.py. We've also explained what are the database models, and then we have added all the models in models.py, and we have also added the basic routes like the login and register routes in routes.py. And this we already did yesterday, and then we have also explained what are the Jinja layouts and how we can use extends and includes in Jinja. And we also made a simple login and register page, and we used Bootstrap to style them. And we have made a simple nav bar also. So we have done till 1 hour 50 basically of this video. So yeah, and also for people who joined today, so 3 people joined today, right? So Yeah, so for you guys, just to let you know, so there's a sheet is there where we have basically all the details of what we will be doing every day, and there's a video which you can basically follow for this. So I would recommend that before each day's session, so basically tomorrow is day 3, so before the session itself, so maybe today evening or at night, just watch from hour 50 to 2 hours 47, where all this is basically done. So you don't have to basically follow along to that, so just watch it at maybe 1.25 or 2x, so that you understand at least what we are going to cover tomorrow. So you will be ready to absorb the things which you are doing here, right? And you can also follow along confidently. And then these are some additional stuff which we were doing. So we also discussed how templating works and all. And then these are things you so I recommend you to do after each day's session. So like after today's session, I would recommend you to read up on so if you are rusty on it, revise how importing works, because we imported a lot of things, and as you saw, right, so the order of the importing also matters. So just revise on how importing works and how everything is done in Python for importing, and then also revise SQL Alchemy if you want. And yeah, just read through how Jinja templating works, because the entire project is based on Jinja templating. And also refer the Jinja docs to just see where everything is, and then so that whenever you need to find something in the Jinja docs or the Flask docs, you can just go and search there. And also obviously explore. So this is not the core requirement, but then it's one of the optional ones, right? And also, even though there are no marks for this directly, so I've been level 1 external, so I can let you know that there are no marks for this directly, and it's also an optional requirement, but then it definitely has some subconscious effect on the both level 1 and level 2 Viva external, right? So even if there's no marks for it, let's say you two people created the same project, one has totally zero styling, so like we had at the start of today's session, right? So no bootstrap, nothing. And another person, maybe they didn't do anything too detailed, they simply included bootstrap and added some basic bootstrap styling. So even though all the projects are same, the level 2 external may be inclined to give a little more marks. So it's basically how human conditioning works, right? So people like to look at shiny things. You don't have to go all into styling, but then yeah, explore basic bootstrap styling, so you can add that quickly in your project as well. And yeah, so for people whom it's not working, first of all, figure out how to make Emmet work, but then yeah, again, then learn how Emmet works, and then how you can do basic things like, so the exclamation one is pretty simple, you can learn it in like 1 minute. You type exclamation and press enter, you get the boilerplate. But then there are also other things which Emmet can do, right? So which we saw, that we can type a dot and then it will create an element with a certain class. Similarly, we can use a hash to create and tag with a certain ID. So something like this. So let's say I want to create a span with a class of CL1 and with an ID of ID1. So if I just do this span.cl1 hash ID1 and press enter, so automatically you can see it will create a span tag with class of CL1 and ID of ID1. So there are also other powerful things which Emmet can do. So you may not need to learn everything immediately. You'll like catch it up on as and when you do it. So let's say you want to create a list, right? So in HTML, we can make lists using OL for ordered list or UL for unordered list. So let's say you want a list, and then inside the list, you want list items. So how you usually will do is you'll type UL, press enter, then go inside, type LI, press enter, say maybe list 1, and then what you'll do is you'll copy and paste multiple times, and you will change it one by one. And then maybe you remember that, okay, for styling, I also need to add some class here. So maybe class equals list item and all that. So now you have to do it again for all these. So, but if you're using Emmet, you can do all of this directly by simply typing something like ul dot, let's say, list group, and then so this will give you a class of list group to the ul, and then you can directly give a greater than sign, that means create inside, and you can say li dot list item. So if you press enter, now you will see it created a unordered list, and then it created a list item also inside it. Now even better than this, so now you still have to copy and paste it a few times. But if you know how many items you want, you can directly here say 5 times. So what this will do, so if you do this now, oh, sorry, wait, not like this, my bad. Yeah, you have to do this and then you have to say times 5. So what this will do is it will create the same thing 5 times in a row. So simple shortcuts like this will basically make your life easy. So this is not something you need to know, but then same as Copilot, right? So if you know, it will make your development process much easier. So, and then you can basically press tab to just edit them one by one. So if you press tab and write something, and you can again press tab and it will directly take you to the next thing. So some features of VS Code and Emmet which makes your life easy to code. So just learn how Emmet works and the basic things of Emmet. So you can then, and paired with the knowledge of Jinja, you can make templates really easily. So after today's session, so for people who have taken Med 1, Med 2, I am not really sure how you are managing both together, but then, or how you are planning to manage. But then, yeah, for people who have taken just Med 1, or even if for people who have taken 2, I would recommend them that try to create a few templates on your own so that you get the hang of doing it, right? So just watching a session will not be of much help if you don't practice yourself. So just practice creating a few templates like this. You don't have to maybe incorporate it directly maybe from the Figma design. So just try creating some templates first to get hang of how templating works. And then also you can try to copy some design from the Figma, right? So yesterday we designed a few Figma pages. So many of you also made your own designs, right? So we saw today. So you can try to clone some of your own designs, or you can try to clone some of the others designs also. So as you saw, this one was nice, this one was nice. So you can clone these designs, or you can clone this one which I shared earlier also. So just try to come up with some basic design, so it does not have to match directly, but then try to use Bootstrap and all, so you can make a few basic pages so that you get used to how to make it. And yeah, for buttons, I'll just let you know that you can go to Bootstrap and learn how everything works. So one example I'll give is for buttons, you can come here, and even if you can't find it in the left, you can just go to the search and type button, right? And you can press enter. So you can see there are all these types of buttons, and the way you set the colors is basically every button has to have the class of button, BTN, but whatever you set after that decides what is the color. So if you make it button primary, it's blue; for secondary, it's gray; success is green; danger is red, and so on. So you can play around with the documentation. So most part of programming is just reading documentation and seeing what can be done with the libraries you're using, and then playing around with that, right? So try to create a few beautiful pages, maybe change the UI of this a little bit more and try to tinker around with it. So don't be scared to break things. So just try to change some stuff. And if you also know CSS, maybe try to write your own CSS also, so that you can change some stuff in this. Yeah. So yeah, that's all we have for day 2. And so tomorrow, what we will be covering is basically from 149 to 247, where we will be starting with the controllers. So right now in our pages, if we are creating like typing something in the form and pressing register, so it is not doing anything, right? So I have the sorry, I have this one turned off. So I'll just run the server again. Yeah. So now you can see if we fill up the form and press register, nothing actually happens. So it just reloads the entire page. So we will see tomorrow how we can actually handle all this. So when some form presses submit or some data is sent to the backend, how we can add that to the database so that we can register a user and then we can also log in a user. So similarly, we will also see how to auto create the database. So I think we have already seen that. So we'll see how we can also like populate the rows and data of that. And we'll also see the error pages. So right now it doesn't make sense to have an error page because there's no error which a user can do. But then once we have added the controller for the register and login, right? So assume that someone gave a wrong username or someone gave a wrong password. So how we can show the message to the user? So we can obviously create a totally new page and we can show it there, but that is usually very cumbersome for them to go back to their own page, right? So better to just have a pop-up here somewhere. So we will also see how to create that alert and then show them error message whenever there's a message. So that also we will be seeing how to have Flash. So we will use the Flash to do that, and we'll create the controller for register and login, and we'll also see how we can. So I've been telling for 2 days, right? So we don't store passwords, we store pass hash. So we'll also see how we actually do that, how we create the hashes, how we check the hashes, and how we actually authenticate users. Then we'll also work a little bit on the admin side and how we can do the CRUD for the admin, and also the authentication. So how we can actually log in the user and some other stuff. So the decorators you can maybe remember from Python. So you would have learned what decorators are in Python. So we will be looking back on what decorators are and how we can use them to our advantage, and then we'll also do some conditional navbar. So as right now we have only a static navbar, we'll make it conditionally render something if it's logged in and something if it's not logged in. So yeah, that's all we'll do tomorrow, and then yeah, we'll continue after that after tomorrow. Yeah, so do you have any other doubts regarding what we did today? So mostly it was front end part, so there won't be much doubt regarding it, but still if you are facing some issues or unable to get something, do let me know. I tried some methods, and Flask run command is still not running after renaming, and I'm getting 404. Yeah, you can definitely send me that. And what I'll do is, so from tomorrow we'll look at how to push it to GitHub, right? So instead of mailing zip file forward and backwards, what we can do is we can, everyone, so all of us can upload our code to a GitHub repository, and then so we can check out each other's code and what is going wrong there. So it will be way easier to collaborate using that. So yeah, you can, for now, you can also send me the zip as an email, that's fine. So if the Flask run is not working for you, do try to install WSL. So we do have a video for that in the resources for the day one. So you can go over this one, how to install WSL and Git. So Git will be pre-installed in WSL. So how to install WSL, and inside that WSL, just try to run the VM and then try to do Flask run. So if it's still not working, then it is very confusing why it's not working, because that is basically all the steps. So there's no other step which we took. So you just need to have a like valid Python installation, and then the Flask should be installed, which you did using pip install Flask. So that itself should be enough to uh, help Flask run work. So yeah, we'll look into it. You can send me the zip, and I'll see if it's working on my system. All right. So do let me know if you have any other doubts today. It's pretty silent today. I don't know why. I don't know if it's a good sign or a bad sign. So either you understood everything or you understood nothing. Hopefully it's the first.
Is sign audible to everyone?
No, actually, I think his internet connection got
Yeah,
cut.
I am facing some issues daily. I don't know why. Just give me a moment. So yeah, I'll join in stable again. In the meantime, I think yeah, I can take doubts from here also. So I'm join from my phone now. If you do have any doubts, do let me know. Also, if you do have any recommendations for the pacing, so if you want me to go faster, if you want me to go slower, or if the current pace is fine, do let me know that as well.
I think current pace is fine, and I wanted to learn these things, .env and these things, and now I got cleared everything.
Yeah, that's good to hear. So I didn't want to just go through the bare minimum what is required, right? Because that anyway we can do without a session. So I wanted to also cover the best practices, so things you should actually do. Because this is now just the start of the term, right? So you can learn this and then slowly incorporate it into your project. So as you will see, we will by the end of this boot camp, we will be done with a full project itself. So it's pretty much possible to create the project in 7 days. So and you have way more than 7 days left, right? So just learn all the stuff, incorporate it slowly, and then in 1 or 2 months you will have a very nice project which you can easily get an S grade in. So yeah, that's plan for the bootcamp. So others, what do you feel about the pace? Is it too fast or too slow? Do let me know your opinions on that. So I'll adjust accordingly. So if someone feels it's too fast, we can slow down also.
I'll have to catch up on yesterday's lesson. So after
Yeah,
I
that
do
that
that, I think I'll be
you joined
able to
today,
get it.
right? So you
Yes.
can watch yesterday's recording. Hopefully you attended today's session like you were there, right? For the entire session.
Yeah, I was there in today's session, but I think if I attend the before session, it will be
Yeah,
much
yeah.
better me to
Be
understand.
to understand,
I
right? No,
could
it's
understand.
yeah. Yeah, so just watch yesterday's session, and if you have any doubts regarding yesterday's or today's session after watching that, you can drop a text in the G space. So I guess I added you in the G space, right?
Yes, I'm in the G space.
Yeah, yeah. So you can drop a text there anytime, and whenever I see the doubt, I can clarify it. Or even if one
Sure,
of our peers know the answer, they can also clarify it, right? So, well, it's basically a
sure.
teamwork kind of. Yeah,
I'll start working on it.
yeah,
Start
yeah. Sure.
looking into it.
Let me see if I can rejoin. All right. Yeah. So bear with me. So I think even for the next 5 days, I'll have these short like network problems here and there. But thankfully, it does come back really quickly. So yeah, it can also act as a reminder for breaks when we need. Hope we are discussing our doubts. I believe. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So we are done with whatever we had to cover for today. So yeah, if you want, you can obviously leave. Or if you have any doubts, you can stay back and we can discuss those doubts as well. Yeah, no worries, Prakash. Yeah. We'll meet you again tomorrow. Yeah. So yeah, the people who have doubts, you can stay back and we can discuss them. I've sent a file to your email. Please check it out and please cover the API part too. Yeah, the API part is not there in the marathon, but yeah, I will cover that in the seventh day, so the last day. So we will cover API briefly, and we will also cover how to make submissions, right? So that's not there in the video, but then many people face problems in the submissions also, right? So how we can zip it, which things to include, and all. So we'll have that, and also I'll go over the API. So not in very detail, but then yeah, I'll touch the basics and how we can how to set up Flask RESTful and how to set up the basic API endpoints. We'll cover that in the seventh video, the 7 day. Hope that's fine, right? Yeah, all right. All right. If you have any other doubts, do let me know. Yeah, thank you. So it's a great session only because you guys are actually interacting and like doing the things. Because whenever I ask you to like design something or create something, you're actually taking the time and effort to do it. So I guess that is why it will be successful if it is. So yeah, do keep up the same spirit also throughout the 7 days. So if you're doing stuff parallelly and even after the session, then it will be really helpful for you. So it will learn a lot in these 7 days. All right, then I guess no other doubts are there, right? So guess we can dissolve a bit early. Yeah, thanks, Mandem. All right then. Let's dissolve then if there are no other doubts. All right, yeah, I'll end the meeting and I'll send the recording in like 1 or 2 hours once it's so once Google sends it to me, I'll upload the link there. Yeah, thank you all. Bye bye.